What's up, guys, and thanks for joining me today. Today I'm reviewing Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. I'm continuing my Star Wars movie reviews leading all the way up to The Last Jedi coming out this December. So let's get into this. Attack of the Clones came out 3 years after The Phantom Menace, and the Phantom Menace wasn't good. It just wasn't good. Critics and fans both panned it, and going into Star Wars Episode 2, fans were hoping and praying that George Lucas had learned from his mistakes and not repeat what he did with The Phantom Menace. Because, how can things get worse, right? Surely George wouldn't let things get worse, right? Right? I'm sorry. Let me show you a clip.
Set 10 years after the events in Phantom Menace, the galaxy is on the brink of civil war. Led by a former Jedi named Count Dooku, thousands of planetary systems threaten to secede from the Galactic Republic. After Senator Padme Amidala evades assassination, Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker becomes her protector, while his mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi investigates the attempt on Padme's life. Soon Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan witness the onset of a new threat to the galaxy, the Clone Wars. Yay.
Okay, so this one hurt. This one hurt. It's hard to it's hard to talk about because I love Star Wars, and I hate bashing Star Wars, but I can't deny it either. This, to me, was the worst Star Wars movie ever. Um, a lot of fans argue which is worse, Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones, and I always fall on the side of Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones was just bad. It was a bad movie. Um, George, after seeing Attack of the Clones, and I think George's vision was clear that his main goal wasn't to concentrate on the story and the development of what was going on with Anakin Skywalker and his transformation to Darth Vader. His main focus was to break new ground in special effects and CGI, and he just lost focus of the story because I tell you, the acting in this movie and the overuse of CGI and blue screen was so bad, so bad. It hasn't aged well at all. And when I get into the whole trend of rewatching Star Wars movies again, where every time a new Star Wars movie comes out, you want to watch the whole thing again, and this is the one where I struggle to sit through and watch because just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. All right, so the movie centers on Anakin, Padme, and Obi Wan, and I'm not gonna blame the actors here, okay? But none of these three have any chemistry at all together. They all sucked. When Anakin and Obi-Wan were together, they had no chemistry. Their friendship felt forced. The dialogue was terrible. Um, when Anakin was with Padme, we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, none of them had chemistry. And these are all great actors. All of them. Even Hayden Christensen. These are all, I've seen them all act very good in other movies, and there's just no excuse why this ended up the way it was. I mean, someone in the production of this movie should have intervened, should have told Lucas, George, your writing is terrible. The script is terrible. You're directing. You're not directing these actors right. Please, seek some help, man. It was just bad. Just bad. I'm gonna talk about some positives here, and starting with my boy Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor. He definitely was the best part about this movie. Despite the horrible dialogue he's given, he does try to do the best what he can, for what he's given. Um, he tries to channel Alec Guinness as much as he can, and he delivers on that. Um, Beyond that, there's not much he can do. Nothing could overcome the horrible writing and directing that George Lucas was doing in this movie. But he did his best, and for the most part, when the movie does focus on him and his story and his investigation, where it takes him, the movie does get interesting when it focuses on him. Count Dooku, played by the late Christopher Lee, did also a very good job. He wasn't as good as a villain as Darth Maul, but for what he was given, he actually did very good. And I just wish his story was more developed. But overall, he did a good job. Jango Fett was also in the movie. He played Boba Fett's dad, and as a villain, he was good. I just wasn't a fan of what they did with his storyline in the movie. I thought it was too coincidental and sloppy writing. I wasn't a fan. I thought they could have come up with a better way, um, as far as bringing in the clone troopers. They could have done it in a better way. I just wasn't a fan of how the story went when it came to Jango Fett's role in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson plays Mace Windu in the movie, and Mace Windu was also in the Phantom Menace, but he was only in one scene, so his scene wasn't very impactful. In this movie, he does have a bigger role, and Samuel L. Jackson does good. For what he's given. Um, Again, George Lucas can't write good dialogue to save his life, but Sam does what he can with what he's given. There is one cool scene that he does have with him and Jango Fett, and they have a really cool fight scene, which lasted all but 2 seconds, but it was very cool. Uh, Nothing to lose your head over, but it was a good scene. Oh, okay. Clearly, the worst part in this movie is the romance between Anakin and Padme, played by Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman. Um, man, this was horrible. This was horrible. Um, we're talking probably the worst romance and a couple in movie history. Excuse me. No chemistry. The acting was terrible. Their dialogue that was given to them. Uh, yeah, I mean nails on a chalkboard. Cringe. It was just so hard to sit through their scenes together in the movie, and it wouldn't have been so bad if maybe their whole romance didn't take up 70% of the movie, but it did, and it was in your face, and you can't hide from it. I mean, the lines these two are given, I felt so bad for them. I felt so bad for them. I really did. A lot of the hate went towards Hayden. They thought he was a horrible pick to play Anakin Skywalker. Um, at one point, I thought so too. But as the years have gone by, I don't think it's his fault. Like every other actor in this movie, he's just trying to do the best he can with what he's given, and that's all he can do. I don't think any other actor coming in would have done any better. I really don't. Um, it's just the way it happened. Natalie Portman, the same way. I mean, Natalie has an Oscar, and her lines were awful too. Her acting was horrible. Um, yeah, it just didn't work, and so much of the movie was devoted to the relationship that killed the movie because the relationship just wasn't good. You didn't buy it for a second. Um, it was just painfully bad, and George dropped the ball in this big time. I mean, it killed the movie for me, and I think for a lot of people, it killed the movie. So yeah. Wait, now we have Yoda with a lightsaber. Yay! Yeah, it was a cool scene, and I remember watching in the theater, and when it happened, everyone lost their minds, and so did I, and it was cool. I'm not sure it holds up, to be honest. Seeing it a couple times, and it just he looks funny with fighting around with a lightsaber, jumping around like a little spider monkey. It's a little cheesy, but it's still cool. The scene does work for the most part, but it's not good enough to erase all the bad in the movie. It just isn't. I mean, a lot of people go back to this movie and be like, oh wait, but Yoda. That's when yeah, great. The movie still sucked. I'm sorry, it just did. There's just so much in this movie. That there was a very cool arena battle scene in this movie that should have kicked ass, and it just didn't. It the whole thing looks so blue screened and CGI. The whole movie just it it didn't feel real, and it hurt it. You know. Um, and obviously today nowadays, I mean, we've come so far when it comes to to CGI and special effects. It could probably now be more convincing what George Lucas tried to do, but he focused so much on it that he just let dropped the ball in the story of this movie, and the movie just fell flat, man. It didn't work. So yes, in the end, I do believe that Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars movie. But it still is a Star Wars movie, and I could look at it as it did expand the Star Wars universe. So we do have that. But yes, yeah, it broke my heart. But it could only go up from here. So stay tuned for my next review on Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. And if you like my review, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will be back.